Hey guys, Chicky Domain, Deboo.com with a Deboo.com surf forecast update. This forecast update effective around 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday, September 28, 2016. And guys, we now have newly named Tropical Storm Matthew entering the Eastern Caribbean. We'll show you that in just a few moments. Wanted to start you off with a buoy update on Tropical Storm Lisa swell. This is arriving on the coast today. Little small background swell aided by some high pressure wind push out in the East Atlantic. Nearshore Canaveral buoy showing about 2 feet 12.1 seconds out of the east-southeast. Gray's Reef buoy, 2.3 feet out of the east at about 12 seconds. Now this swell kind of reaches back to the Paul West Bermuda buoy and the Northeast Bahama buoy. We're going to be keeping an eye on the buoys this afternoon. Show you the swell forecast 24 hours out of the Ocean Prediction Center, showing some 10 to 12 second periods back behind the front end of the little 12 to 13 second periods. That's going to filter in over the next 24 to 48 hours. Now you can see on the back end of Tropical Storm Lisa swell, here's some smaller period or small area of 12 to 13 second period developing out front of what it has now become Tropical Storm Matthew. Going to switch you over to some satellite imagery. And give me a second here because we're going to start up here. This is that time of year. And here's that area of low pressure that we detailed in our last video update, again, near the Great Lakes region. This is going to weaken up a little bit and then drop down towards the mid-Atlantic and kind of meander. Here's this area of low pressure that we detailed in our last video update east of the Outer Banks. This is now on its way to the North Atlantic as possibly the first hurricane force low of the 2016-2017 winter swell season for the North Atlantic. We'll show you that in the latest run of the GFS. Then we also wanted to point out in our last video update, we talked about an area over here in the Western Caribbean. We thought we had saw a surface low trying to develop a couple of days ago. We picked up on this last week, informed you about it in our video update 3 days ago. National Hurricane Center now only putting a 10% chance of development next 5 days. Non-impact really, maybe just for Mexico as rains. But the reason why we point that out is this is the time of year that you always watch the tail ends of fronts along stalled or dying fronts for an area of low pressure to develop. Hence, we have this area in the Western Gomex and then also over here off the Outer Banks. And this is really exciting. We'll get into that in just a few moments. But drop you down now. Give me a second and pull over. Here is newly named Tropical Storm Matthew. And here is the latest and the first forecast track out of the National Hurricane Center. National Hurricane Center showing a hurricane developing by 8 a.m. Friday morning and then moving off towards the west and then lifting off towards the northwest, towards Jamaica as a hurricane. Now, guys, just like we talk about in the model runs, this is one run of the National Hurricane Center's forecasted track. This image is going to change over the next 4 to 5 days. So just because the National Hurricane Center is showing us this now does not mean that that won't change. Same thing when we show you the model runs here in just a few moments. But going back to the predicted hurricane force low in the North Atlantic, it's gotten the attention of Carve Magazine up in the UK. Carve Magazine, the United Kingdom's #1 surf magazine for the region, and they tweeted one of our images earlier this morning, forecast showing a possible 950 pushing swell for the at World Surf League at Quicksilver Pro next week. So we're going to be tracking this. If you folks are tuning in from the UK to follow our forecast, we'll be doing some special updates on that and producing swell images. It looks like right now, based on this being a 950 millibar low just southeast of the tip of Greenland, seas likely in excess of 40 feet. We'll have to wait for guidance out of NOAA's Ocean Prediction Center on that. Going to switch you to the 12Z model run. This is just out now, and we're going to focus on this North Atlantic first before we jump over to newly named Tropical Storm Matthew. Here's that area of low pressure just east of the Outer Banks. Here is this other area of low pressure that's near the Great Lakes region. Keep your eye on this as we advance the model run. You'll see that it's going to run up in here towards the North Atlantic. Once it gets east of Newfoundland, it's going to start to intensify from 1,005 millibar low in 48 hours. That's this Friday. And cranking up, and look at this monster, 948 millibar low by Monday, 949, and then 952 by Monday. This is 120 hours out. That's 5 days. Lots of confidence within a 5-day window of the forecast. Now, if you can look down towards the bottom of the screen, here comes Tropical Storm Matthew, possibly Hurricane Matthew, according to the National Hurricane Center in their first forecast track. We're going to switch you over to a different view now, and here it comes. Tropical Storm Matthew, 48 hours south of the Dominican Republic, 72 hours progressing off towards the west, and the GFS is a little sooner in turn than the National Hurricane Center. We just showed you that here. Now, the National Hurricane Center shows the turn coming a little bit later and heading for Jamaica. If you look at the latest run of the GFS, this is moving it up towards Haiti, in between Haiti and the eastern tip of Cuba. And then by Tuesday, this is 5 days now, lifting up into the Bahamas, and then east of the Florida coast, approaching the Outer Banks, and just brushing the Outer Banks by Thursday, October 6th. We're going to keep it here. We're not going to go beyond this, even though we said in our last update we'll keep it in a 10-day window. As time gets shorter, we're going to shorten up the window because uncertainty still remains. There is the possibility that this area of low pressure could take off a little bit more towards the northwest as it crosses Cuba. I would say at this moment, from the Panhandle to the Eastern Gulf, you're not out of the woods yet. The Euro model is coming out. The Euro model has been showing a slower and more westward solution. So we'll have an update on the website underneath this video in this post after the 12Z model run comes out later on this afternoon. For now, try and get some of this little longboard action that's coming in from what was Tropical Storm Lisa, and we'll have the next update coming up after the 12Z model run of the Euro later on this afternoon. That's all we got for you for now. Stay tuned for the next update.